Yeah, welcome. Woo, that's it. Nice. I gotta say, I really love being a developer, honestly, because I think being a developer is like being part of a really, really cool club. And it's a club where we may not have a secret handshake, but we do kind of have a secret saying, a slogan that we can say that you can say in almost any language, and you will know that somebody is a developer. Can anybody tell me what that is in 3, 2, 1? Hello world, amazing. But the question is, what comes after hello world? And that is what we're going to talk about in our talk today. My name is Andrew. You are here for Goodbye World, Hello Battlesnake. And I'm going to jump into things right away. So here is our talk agenda for today. We're going to be talking a little bit about the history of Hello World. We're going to be talking about the starter project pipeline, so kind of the process that most people are going through. We're going to be talking about where Battlesnake fits into that. And heck, you probably don't even know what Battlesnake is, so we should probably talk a little bit about that. And then I am going to pray to the demo snakes because I'm going to try and do live coding. And a lot of things are not working on this network, so I'm going to do it from a Wi-Fi hotspot. That's going to be awesome. And we're going to hope that we don't have this experience, but instead we have this experience. All right. And I mean, yeah, he's running out of a burning building, but he's saving the snakes, right? So that's good. All right, so a little bit about me. I'm a former classroom educator. I broke into tech about 5 years ago, working for a company called Battlesnake. I've been a lot of places since, but I actually have always stayed in love with Battlesnake. I love it a lot. If you recognize that hat, you probably also recognize this meme. That is 100% me. But I also love learning. I really, really love learning, and I love it so much that I actually spent an entire kind of year doing a live stream series called Does It Toggle, where I kind of built out Hello World projects in any language that I could possibly find. So even there, I didn't actually even know what Hello World was all about. And so for this talk, I did a little bit of digging. And believe it or not, it's not actually Hello World, it's Hello Brian. And this is Brian. Brian is actually the person who popularized Hello World, and he worked for Bell Labs back in the 70s and 80s. He's also wrote one of the first books on the C programming language, but we're not here to learn about C. This is a JavaScript track. A way cooler JavaScript Hello World function is up there. And the Hello World actually came from Brian remembering a comic that he saw of a chick coming out of an egg saying Hello World in the caption. Also, fun fact, my good friend Brian, a fellow Canadian. And yeah, that's it. There we go. A fellow Canadian. So that's Hello World. That's where that came from. What comes after Hello World? What is that kind of progression pathway once you've gotten in? So first things first, we've got our Hello World. Then we kind of move forward, and a lot of you probably did this process of we built a calculator, right? Something like that. Then you probably went on to do some sort of a CRUD app, like a to-do app. And then you probably went on to do something like a game. And we'll use Flappy Bird just because I've seen a lot of AI models building Flappy Bird. And this progression could change for you, could be different. But really, we've kind of got this idea of foundations to utilities to applications to creativity, right? That's kind of the progression pathway. But the question here is, does that same thing exist in the world of AI? Has things changed for the developer progression pathway? Well, ask somebody that's really big in the AI world, and they will tell you that things are shifting here. Computers are really good at computation. They're really good at those basic pieces. Humans are great at creativity. These are places we need to focus. And that's actually backed up by educational theory. This is Bloom's taxonomy. At the top there, you'll see creativity. Creativity is kind of the peak of learning. If you want to learn more about this, I did a talk a couple years ago on it. Check that out. But so the key here is that education and learning in that process is all about kind of progressing down that pathway towards creativity. And so that question of, do we need to actually keep these middle pieces? Do we really need those calculators and to-do apps? Now, some of you may be saying these are really useful tools, and they are. But with the whole advent of AI, and even before that, we had some problems that were existing. So there is little room for creativity in these applications. You can only be so creative with a calculator or a to-do app. And you can try and make it really creative. It's probably not going to work. Then you can probably have your to-do app that you put on your LinkedIn profile. It's probably going to be the same, or GitHub profile. It's going to be the same as everybody else's that's out there. So it's really not doing much to set you apart from others. So we already were in a place where maybe these things weren't the best starter projects. And so the question is, how can we short circuit that hello world through to that creativity while also keeping a little bit of that intact? And I actually think that the answer would be really evident to us, because I think Brian actually misremembered when he was remembering this sort of chick coming out of the egg. I think he actually remembered a snake coming out of an egg. All right, so I've got a little video that I'm going to play now, which is a little bit of a hype video. I think that I'm just going to play it on my speakers here because I don't think that we're hooked up to sound. But we're going to play this just to give you a little bit of an idea. If you've been like, what is this Battlesnake Andrew talking about? I'm going to give you a little hype to get started. What? Not that way. We're going to try and do some hype. Maybe. We're going to go this way. Ah, there we go. Boom. Boom. So at its core, Battlesnake, let me get back over here. Battlesnake is a multiplayer programming game where you try and survive. Anybody here ever play that Nokia Snake game back in the day? It's that, but for software developers. You build an AI snake that is actually competing against other snakes to try and survive. And you do that like this. So the game board is right here. That's just a visualization engine for what's actually happening, which is the Battlesnake game engine sending a bunch of data to your web server, which is your Battlesnake, that you are then processing and determining which way you want your snake to go based on that data. Is it up, down, left, or right? It's that simple, but also very complicated. Because you have to do that in some specific rules. First rule, avoid walls. If you hit the walls and go out, you're done. Second, avoid others. So you run into somebody else's body, you are done. You run your own body, you're also done. Just like in reality, don't run into other people. It's a bad idea. But that said, just like in reality, head-to-heads are very different. In head-to-heads, the longer snake is going to win. Smaller snake goes away. And then you got to eat food to stay alive. Every time that you do a move and a round, your health goes down. You need to eat food to have your health go back up. And you get longer, which makes it harder to survive. So those are the basic rules. Other important things is the game board is 0 indexed, at the bottom is 0, 0, and you have 500 milliseconds to respond, which is going to be really important when we get to the live demo. All right, so here is the Battlesnake API, 4 endpoints. We're only going to focus on 2. The first is the get endpoint, which is just sending back information about your Battlesnake in a JSON object. So what it is, what its head looks like, what its tail looks like. And then we've got the move. So we're receiving some data about the game, and then you are returning your move up, down, left, or right. This is the actual object. I know you can't really see this, but this is all the stuff that's being sent back, information about the game, the board, the different snakes that are on there, where all the food is. All of these things are being sent to your server that you're using to determine what's happening. So in here, the rules are fixed, but what you build with them is limitless. So you may be saying to yourself, Andrew, we're building snakes. And I say, you are wrong. We're actually building skills and knowledge. And certainly that happens through the course of learning new programming languages, learning new cloud hosting services, by learning new DevOps and automation processes, and by learning new machine learning algorithms. In fact, there's been a ton of papers that have been written on this subject over the past number of years that you should go and definitely check out. But you are probably also saying to yourself, Andrew, these seem a lot like computation. And you're right. We are focused on creativity here. Now you also may be saying to yourself, whoa, Andrew, did I just notice that you use Comic Sans in a professional presentation? And I did. And now this is a good segue to the demo, which may or may not work. And if it doesn't, you're not going to remember that the demo didn't work. You're going to remember some random guy talking about snakes adding Comic Sans to its professional presentation. and that's a good sign. All right, so when I was thinking about tech to explore, obviously I work for Twilio. We're a SMS, voice AI, conversational AI company, and so I thought there's a lot of tools that we have that we could test out. We could use our serverless offering functions and sort of deploy a Battlesnake that way. We could use Sync, which is kind of like our Firebase database system to actually store game data, or we could use messaging and just like share results via SMS. And I said, no, I will have none of that. And instead, I decided to base this around a live stream that happened a few years ago where people created a Battlesnake that was controlled by their face. And so they literally built a Battlesnake that they controlled by moving around on a camera using TensorFlow, and then they were able to kind of make a snake go a certain direction. Now, I will say that our engineering team actually had to physically slow down the game engine for this to work, and so it wasn't ideal, and so I'm going to do something a little bit different today, but ideally get a voice-controlled snake by the end of the presentation. And using a conversation relay, which is a kind of a new thing that Twilio has. It's basically a way for you to make a phone call. It automatically converts that speech to text. It can then be fed into your LLM to do a bunch of fun stuff that you want to do, and then feed back the result afterwards. And the fun stuff we're going to do is process the data with an LLM, and then we're going to feed that back to go up, down, left, or right. All right, so we're going to be using a couple different texts today. We're going to be using Twilio Conversation Relay, Tiny HTTP, which is an Express alternative that I really, really like. We're going to be using OpenAI, except we're not, because I went to a great talk where they said, you should use small language models. So I said, why not do it live in front of a bunch of people? And so we're actually going to be using Ollama and Qwen 3 1.7b, which is a small language model from Alibaba. So now is the moment where we all pray to demo gods that we have a happy snake and not a sad snake. It is demo time. And this one is in If You Know, You Know. If anybody's a gamer out there, you'll know exactly why that is there. Okay, so we're going to jump into some live coding now, hopefully. I'm going to stop doing this and start doing choose content. We're going to go our entire screen. You're going to see everything. All right, so we're going to get rid of that. I've got a bunch of stuff up here, but the important thing is VS Code, and we're going to close these guys, and don't worry, I'm going to bump up the text here, but I've got a bunch of files here to start us out. So let's close this, and let's make sure ngrok is still running. Awesome. How's that text size for everybody? Good? Bigger? Bigger. Awesome. Better? Beautiful. Okay, so this is a tiny HTTP project. Looks very similar to Express. We've got our app that we're instantiating, and this is, as you can imagine, a Hello World project that is returning a Hello World in text on the page if you visit it. You don't need to see this. Y'all have used Express before. That's great. But seeing what it looks like in the Battlesnake world is kind of cool. And so, again, very similar setup. And again, we only had 4 endpoints that we needed to focus on here. Get rid of this. So we needed to have our get endpoint where we're sending a bunch of data back about our Battlesnake. So its name, color, head, tail, all the rest of that fun stuff. We've got our start endpoint, which just needs to return a 200 response to say, I exist. Same with the endpoint or the end post. And then the other one is our move endpoint, which needs to send back a move. And here we are going to be sending back right as our default. And that's it. That's a functional tiny HTTP snake that's running just based on code. And we might actually have enough time to run this. All right, so I am now going to do something that may or may not work out in my favor. I am going to move over to my hotspot and hope that it will pick up. All right, let's see if we've got anything going on over here. Let's go into my Battlesnakes, refresh this page. Pray for me, all. Ooh. Pray, pray, pray. All right, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. What? Control. Da, 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 da. All right. The prayers may not be working. All right, we're going to try another one that one of my awesome colleagues had set up. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Huh, there we go. Just took a little while. Let's go. All right, so we have got our snake in here. I'm going to start this server running over here. I've got ngrok going right now, and we're going to start our node 1 snake. Awesome. Oh, not tiny HTTP. We actually want to get 2. All right, we're going to get tiny snake going. Our Battlesnake is running. We're going to ping here, and our snake has showed up. We've got a yellow snake with a default head. We can easily go in here, change our color to something different. Change this. Oh, let's do another F. See what color that does. Save that and turn off and on again. And we'll go and ping again. And our color should change. And we'll actually change our head to chomp. All right, save that. All right, and our Battlesnake is running. And let's just quickly cancel and start up ngrok again. Awesome. All right, so ping over here. We should update to our chomp head. Awesome. So we got our chomp head, and I really hate this. What's black? Is it zeros or Fs? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. There we go. And hopefully he will be easier to see now. Amazing. Ping. Beautiful. Love that the color isn't updating. Fantastic. All right, so we're going to go in and we're going to create a match with our CYC snake, and if everything's working right, he should go right. So it's loading our game. Here we go, and this beautiful snake that we can 100% all see and is not at all really hurtful to our eyes is going to go right. Went right. So by default, they go up if the server's not working. We can easily change this to go left, and I realize we're spending a lot of time on this, but it's also just to make sure the server's working. So we're going to go in here, update it, close it down again, update, and let's go in here, create a rematch, and our snake should now go left. Amazing. Our snake that we can barely see definitely did the thing that I am saying. Yeah? Yeah. There we go. Okay, so let's jump into what we are actually here to see, which is not our sort of demo snake here. It's actually our voice snake. And so this is what's actually going to be using some of these cool features that we talked about. So at the top, first thing that we've added is TinyWS, which is a WebSockets extension that is built by the same team behind TinyHTTP. So we need to add WebSockets in here. We've got two things, rules and strategy. These are for our LLM. So we're going to be feeding these into our LLM in order to return up, down, left, right. We're giving it the instruction and strategy to always go right. That doesn't say return right. It just says always go right. It didn't know how to interpret that unless we give it the rules, which is you're going to be given a strategy prompt, output only one word in response to that, up, down, left, or right. Amazing. So then we're activating that TinyWS. And then we've got some updates to my head and tail that you will see in a second, so our eyes will hurt less. Start and end are exactly the same. And then our move has changed. Now we're awaiting that LLM move response. So here's what that looks like. Super simple. If you've never used Ollama before, but you've been doing stuff with OpenAI, it's very, very similar. We're just doing a fetch to this Ollama that's running locally on my device. We're going to go through to this Quen model, send it back the rules and strategy, and it is going to return a response to us based on what we've put in there. Great. Awesome, Andrew. This is basically just doing an LLM thing. You said that there was going to be voice stuff in here. Well, we've got here this idea of strategy, and strategy is going to be set when we make a phone call through Twilio. So we've added another endpoint, which is our Twilio endpoint, and here we are actually able to instantiate a conversation relay, which is just basically saying use this WebSocket server for this conversation, and then it goes down to the WebSocket server here, and all the power is really happening here in the prompt. So when it gets a message, it's going to pull out that voice prompt, which is us talking to it. It's going to set that strategy to whatever our voice has said, and then it's going to speak that back to us. If it works, which it might, or it might not, and then it's going to be real embarrassing for me. So let's see if we can actually make this happen. So let's go in here. Let's open up our terminal again. Let us turn on node 3. Whoa. Node 3. Beautiful. Let's turn on voice snake, and we're going to create a rematch. And this is, if we go over here, you can see our LLM response is going right, and that should be following our instructions of always go right. Amazing. So it's doing what we want it to do. Ha! Love that. Love that you didn't do what I wanted you to do. All right. Always go right. There we go. You're going right now. Our color hasn't updated though, because we need to update our Battlesnake over here. Let me just ping. There we go. Still that yellow color. Man, this is really hating me today. All right, so create a new game. I'm going to create a small board one and start this game. Beautiful. So it should still be going up and right. There's a little bit of a delay there, but you see the actual LLM response is always doing the same thing. Now I'm going to change it to something different. I'm actually going to give it a call. I'm going to call this number that I have set up, and I'm going to say something different, like maybe always go the opposite of left, and see if it can interpret what that's going to do. And we're going to do that using the Twilio dev phone, which again, fingers crossed, is going to work. I'm going to turn up my volume as loud as it can go, so just be very quiet so you can hear. And let's see if it is going to pick up what is being put down. So always go the opposite of right.
Always go the opposite of right.
Now, we can't say anything else to it because it will literally return everything back and think that is a strategy. So it should be going left now based on that instruction. Let's create a rematch on this board. There we go. So there's a little bit of a delay there, but it is actually returning left. And we can say the exact same thing again. So we're going to call back this number again.
Would you like to customize your Battlesnake?
Always do the opposite of down.
Always do the opposite of down.
Yes, brother. Okay, and we're going to go into our custom game, create a rematch again, and please go up. Amazing, it went up, which we wanted it to do, and that was actually our LLM response. Okay, so this is cool, but I got 3 minutes. Yeah, go ahead and clap. Yeah! So that was cool and all, but I wanted to go to another level with this, and we've got enough time for me to do it, which I didn't know if we would. So I actually built another snake for you, which I call Full Snake. Full Snake is cool because Full Snake does this, not Node, N-O-D. Full Snake does the same thing that Voice Snake does, but it adds an extra layer of actually doing a play-by-play of the game afterwards based on the data it receives. Now, this is a very dumb model. As ChatGPT explained to me when I said, why is this not working very well? It said, you're trying to give university level instructions to a toddler. And I said, awesome, thanks for that, ChatGPT. That was helpful. And then I realized I was talking to one AI but another AI, and it was a whole thing. But we're going to start this up. We got our Battlesnake running, and I'm going to give it a call again. I'm going to leave my call going, but I'm going to mute it just so that you can kind of see what's happening here.
Like to customize your Battlesnake.
Always go left.
Yeah. Always go left.
All right, let's see if it. Okay, awesome. It got always go left. Amazing. And now I'm going to run the game. And there is a timeout here for conversation relay, so hopefully we get it done in time. Awesome. It went left.
Color commentary.
And so now it's generating some color commentary.
Snake began the match with a steady march, but as the turns progressed, it faced a series of close calls and free pickups that tested its endurance. With each turn, the snake grew longer, its momentum swinging between aggressive pushes and cautious retreats. By the final turn, the CYC snake had outmaneuvered its opponent, securing a decisive victory with a final stretch that left the rival snake in disarray.
Hey, there we go. Amazing. And so the only difference that we actually had there was in our LLM response in Full Snake. Everything else is actually the same. So if we go down here, everything else is the same except for our generate commentary. So in here, all that we've really added is this new board states variable, which in every move now, we are just pushing the move JSON that is coming through into this array, and it's be using that to generate the commentary. And then when our game ends, generate commentary, where we go? Generate commentary. There we go. So when the game ends, it's going to start that, send that message of generating color commentary, and then it is actually going to send the board state, generate that, and then send back the recap. So super, super simple application. It's literally a single WebSocket server that's kind of doing all of the back and forth with the LLM here. And this is all running, by the way, on like a MacBook Air with like 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it's still able to do this. Now, you'll also notice in the last like 50 seconds that I have that this LLM made up a whole bunch of stuff. There was like not other opponents in that game. It was not, and almost none of that is real. But it sounded really cool, right? Yeah, let's go. So if you liked that and you want to check it out yourself, there we go. you can grab this, if it loads. There we go. You can grab this repo over here. You can clone this repo. I'm going to get out of the way. Clone this repo. I'm going to get out of the way this way. And grab that and try it out for yourself. And then if you want to get in touch with me, that's where you can find me. All of this stuff is linked in the slide deck, that bit.ly link at the very bottom, bit.ly/hello Battlesnake. So be sure to check that out. And that is time.